1963 Volkswagen Beetle, and we're in crunch time for back to the 50s right now. I got a lot of wiring going on. Yeah. And it's all mocking up and a lot of buttoning up. Okay. So we have gaskets. All the gaskets need to go on the exhaust side. All the gaskets need to go on the intake side. The engine pretty much is buttoned up. The fuel system is run. We have a Holley inline, 100 gallon per hour fuel pump, which will be more than enough. RC 650 injectors, eBay turbo, oil lines made. Next step I'd say is we gotta run coolant. We have the radiator mounted.
Where's the radiator mounted?
The radiator is mounted in the front, which is weird because it's an air-cooled. Originally, it's an air-cooled engine, so there's no spot for radiator. Mm-hmm. I would love to show you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd love
to. Air is gonna be scooped up from the bottom, and I'm gonna make like an actual like air scoop, so pick it up more, and then so air is gonna come in, and it's gonna come back out because here's the gas tank. So we gotta shoot air back down, and the whole goal of this is to just not shoot like hot heat exchanged air into the frunk. You can say the frunk. We have an air in, air out. Have the gas tank out now for wiring purposes. We just have to run grounds, but there's no Rob Dom wiring. This is a hot rod wiring. They make it as like a GM 70s vehicle, but they advertise it as universal, and it just has the basics. And this car, even being like the wild swap it is, it's just very basic electronics. And what's super nice about Volkswagens, at least this early style, is there's no underdash. This is the easiest wiring job I've ever done. All of the gauges and lights and switches are because this is the dash. The dash is the firewall. We have exactly a month to get
what else done?
To get coolant system, fuel system. I have most of an intake, like a cold side, turbo cold side. I need to mount the intercooler, build an exhaust, and I need to tune it. We can talk about the ECU a little bit. It's going to be run on a Haltech, and people don't Haltech swap Hondas. And if they do, they do the Elite 1500. We have an Elite 750, which is it's a cheaper option, less just as powerful, just less inputs and outputs, which we're not going to end up using all of it. So there's a little funniness there. Got a lot of research and knowledge through Humble Performance. I didn't buy through them, but they have a lot of good videos on the Elite 550 and Elite 750. And I think my saving grace on tuning will be the Haltech wideband. You can run any wideband with Haltech, but I think Haltech has a great auto tuning, which will work for getting the car to the show. So there's a lot, but there's also not a lot. It's checking all the boxes, and not a lot of big stuff left. Just a lot of the tedious things. Sure, we can hit that quick. So there is a company that makes the engine. You can see engine plate that adapt original Volkswagen transaxle to the K20, and I think up to stage 4 clutches and flywheels, the big one, to adapt the There's a Volkswagen clutch, Honda K20 bolt pattern, and all the spacing in there that is required. For what it is, it was super cheap. It was like, 700, $800. And in a weekend, I just got the motor bolted to, clutch and everything figured out, bolted to the transaxle. Or the original style of Volkswagen, the motor just hung off the transaxle. So, these K20s, they don't weigh much more than the Volkswagen motor. And so, this being all aluminum, the Volkswagen motors, cast iron. I think it's like there's 100, like the K20 weighs 100 pounds more. The engine harness. This is almost done, but I took a. It looks crazy, but it's just some zip ties and a little more of this wire sheeting. It'll look mint. But this is I think it's like a $50 like K20 engine harness, and I really just bought it for all the wiring and the connectors. It had like the OEM style plug, and I've repinned it, and now it has the Haltech plug. And I have a CAN bus. This goes to the car, and I have the ECU controlling the fuel pump and the fan as well, so I'll be able to do fan by coolant temp. Funny thing about the Elite 750 is that it's not powerful enough to control VtecW, because VtecW, the solenoid runs on supplying power, and the ECU can only supply ground. So that's where you add a solenoid, so the ECU can ground out a solenoid that provides power to VtecW. Biggest downside to an Elite 750, but that's not that big of a deal. And so I think it's going to work great. A lot of time into this. This is basically what I did all winter. I'm pretty confident on it, but I'm going to be surprised if I have this all pinned out right. I'm going to do like a pretty basic check once over, just make sure the cam position sensor and the crank position sensor, actually, because that's going to be the big ones, as well as injectors and ignition coils. I think it's a pretty good overview of what we got going on, and it's going to be a quick month. Is going to go by really fast, so it's kind of it's keeping making sure I get a couple, making sure I'm not trying to crunch 3 nights before to get this thing running. I want it to back to 50s is at the weekend after Father's Day. My Father's Day gift to myself will be to be driving this thing around by then. And so yeah, more to come.